Good morning. How is everybody? I'm so excited to be with you this morning. I am Melissa Shaver. I'm here in the Dallas, Texas area, and I'm thrilled to be able to be with you your night, my morning. So I hope you've had a great day. I hope that it's been good for you. I know our days are just gifts, and we all want to live them to the fullest, right? So I hope that it was a good day for you. And I will share with you 5.5 years ago, if I would have said, was today a good day for you? I probably would have said yes, but I would have said it not fully agreeing with how I was feeling, because 5.5 years ago, I was more of a silent sufferer, if you will. And so many people didn't know what was going on in my heart, in my life, in the struggles that I was going through, because at the time I was working for a nonprofit. And whenever you do nonprofit work, your sole purpose is to care for other people and hear their needs and care for those needs, find solutions for those needs. And there really wasn't room for you to share what was going on with yourself. Hey guys, I'm so glad that you're with me. And so I wanted to share a little bit about my story with you and how I came to the place of thriving. And I didn't realize until I was preparing for this that 5 years ago, I got my life back. Now, I've been with Plexus for 5.5 years. But for me, because of all my autoimmune disorders, it took me a little bit to be able to say, I got my life back, to be able to say, I am starting to thrive, to be able to say, man, the sun has come out in my mind, in my heart, in my body. And so with that, I'm going to tell you as I share my story, if you are thinking about starting these products and you've got some different things going on and maybe you can relate with me as I share with you today, I want you to know to trust the process, because our bodies are being educated to these supplements. And as they're educated, then they begin to be transformed and our systems begin to heal. And so for some of you, if you're anything like me, it might take a month or two for that to happen. And I just trusted the process. I trusted the friend who shared this with me. And I trusted that the science behind these products and that it was going to happen for me. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. So if you would have known me 5.5 years ago, like I said, I worked full-time for me. At that time, I worked for a medical clinic. We had medical staff, and my days were anywhere from 8 to 14-hour days. It depended on the day. It depended on what was going on in the clinic. Personally, I was dealing with a lot of things. Now, let's see, when I hit the age of 40, like many of you, if you haven't hit it, just be prepared. But if you have hit 40, your body just starts to change. And I used to say I was going in for my 100,000-mile checkup, that all of a sudden, my car was breaking down and it wasn't just needing oil and gas, that there was something going on under the hood, right? But everything started changing for me. And I started getting a lot of autoimmune disorders that I did not understand. And I really did believe that it was just kind of my lot in life. I thought, okay, I'm getting older. This sucks, but I guess this is just what life looks like. And so I was diagnosed with many things. And it wasn't all at one time. It was over a period of time of just a couple of years. But it took 7 years, believe it or not, to diagnose me with celiac disease. And those 7 years, I was working with specialists all over the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which we have incredible doctors here in our Metroplex. But I was working with internal doctors. I was working with dermatologists, because my celiac disease, which we learned later, There's about 1.5% of people with celiac disease that not only do you have celiac disease, but it also manifests as a skin disease. So you have internal things going on as well as external things. What that looked like for me from an external standpoint, especially those 7 years of going undiagnosed, was I couldn't wear certain clothing with dyes in it. I had to wear only cotton clothing. I had to have soapless showers, which is super crazy. There is a soapless soap. I was really asked by a doctor, which I could not do, to only take showers 2 or 3 times a week, because whenever the water would hit my skin, it would awaken the disease, basically. And the rest of the day, I would be in severe pain. I couldn't sit out in direct sun. I always had to have an umbrella with me. I traveled a lot during that time, and so I had to take my own towels, my own sheets to sleep in, my towels to take showers with, had to take my own soaps. Whenever I would sleep in full pajamas, lots of times with socks, sometimes with gloves on, because of the chemicals in their bedspreads and things like that would awaken this disease that was on my skin. I could not walk through a mall that had lots of fragrances in it, because the fragrances would make me break out in hives immediately. So it was a miserable life to live, and it was a painful life to live. And there were a lot of things that I didn't get to do with my children because of that. So that was one, celiac disease. I also have hypothyroidism. That was diagnosed with that first, and then with celiac. I also had fibromyalgia that I was diagnosed with, and then I had hypoglycemia. So the hypoglycemia that can just, all of these can be so severe, but with that one, I always had food with me. I had almonds or a protein bar with me. I carried food always. And it's amazing, guys, to realize probably 6 months after I started these products, 8 months, somewhere in there, I realized one day, I actually was sharing my story with a group of about 300 people. And as sharing my story, it hit me that I wasn't carrying food in my purse anymore, which is a huge celebration for someone like me, because carrying food was a situation of feeling like I was going to faint, or I would get very, very dizzy, or I would get a severe headache and have to eat something. So I would have these highs and lows, and that food was really a source of, at that moment, life for me, because I felt like death. And so I just had all of these different things that were going on that I was putting Band-Aids on. And I was taking medications, I was eating foods, I was doing different things to kind of just live through my days. And this is what has really stood out so much for me as I continue to share my story and do what I do today in the health and wellness community, is for many of us, and probably for you, especially for women, I think, we're silent sufferers. Nobody would have ever known what my world looked like, what the pain I was going through. I would just put on the Band-Aids and put on a smile and keep going through my day. And it's really important that we come to a realization that I want people to know that I see you, I hear you, I want to know your story, because I do think that there's a better life ahead. And I think that you can come to a place where you're thriving. I really believe that God created us to thrive, to have adventure. I believe that He has a plan for us. And I want to live out that plan because I know it's good. I know it's exciting. And so I want that for other people. So that was kind of my sick world, if you will. I want to share with you my kind of my life at that time, my athletic world, if you will. So at the same time that I was suffering all of those autoimmune disorders and thinking that's just my life and it's only going to get worse, On the other side, I've worked out all of my life. I started dancing at the age of 6. Probably around 4 or 5, I would walk to the dance studio that was just up the street from me, and I would sit at the door. They had a screen door. The studio was in an old converted house, and I would sit either on the porch and look through the screen, or I'd go up to the front door and watch through the window, and watch these older girls dance. And that's all I wanted to do was dance. And I started dancing at the age of 6. I went into competitive dance, which at that time we did not call competitive dance like we do today. But I went into a dance troupe, if you will, where we were able to travel when I was in 6th grade, and I was working with girls in high school, so 15 to 18. But I had worked hard enough to be the youngest girl in that troupe. I went to college on a dance scholarship. And so movement and dance has been all of my life. So 5.5 years ago, if you would have known me at that time in college, I had an accident, just to kind of complete my story, and stopped the dance world, had reconstruction, learned to walk again, took a couple of years, and I got to start running. Never got back into dance. I couldn't compete at the same level. I didn't have the same balance. I just couldn't do the same level that I was at. And so I moved my exercise and athletic abilities over to the running world. And so 5 years ago, I was still running, and I've done half marathons. At that time, I was doing lots of triathlons. I probably did 3 to 4 triathlons a year. Just loved them because I love competition. I love challenging myself. I love pushing myself. A lot of things happen whenever you exercise. You have time to think, you process. Whenever you're pushing hard and being challenged, your mind can go to a different place. It's a place for me just to process and think. I become very creative. But also, whenever you push yourself and you're challenged, it makes you realize that you can push yourself in life. You can push yourself in your career. You can challenge yourself in decisions that need to be made and problem resolutions. It literally moves over to the rest of your life. And those things have always been important to me. I've always been really strong in personal development and wanting to better myself. I want to be better today than I was yesterday. And I want to be working on things today that will better me tomorrow. And I see my athleticism as part of that. And I don't call myself an athlete, but I don't know what else to call that. I'm not this great Olympian. It's just that I love to move. And so 5 years ago, whenever I was introduced to Plexus 5.5 years ago, I was doing 2-a-day workouts. I was working out 4 triathlons, and but my world was a messy world, because you already heard about all of my autoimmune disorders, which makes it super hard to be able to do what I was doing because I was exhausted all the time. With autoimmune disorders comes severe exhaustion, foggy brain, wanting to go to sleep, very, very little energy. I had sleepless nights. A lot of that was high anxiety that I couldn't even put my finger on why I was having anxiety. But I was waking up about 2:12, 2:26, almost every morning looking at that clock. I would go ahead and get up because my brain would turn on. I couldn't go back to sleep. And I would always think, okay, well, I'm going to get through my day. I'm going to go to my 5 a.m. workout. And hopefully by the end of today, I will be so exhausted, so tired that I'm going to have a good night's sleep. And at night, I would do the same thing all over again. I'd be super exhausted, couldn't wait to go to bed. Then I'd wake up right after 2 o'clock and I'd be awake. And my body just had no rhythm to it. And you have to have a biorhythm to be able to have those really good sleeps. I was doing cocktail sleep aids every single night. And I say a cocktail because I would switch it up. I was trying to trick my system. Can I just tell you, you can't trick your system? But I knew that I was hurting my liver. I knew I was hurting my system. And so I would switch between over-the-counter meds and sleep aids and natural sleep aids. I would do all these different things trying to get a good night's sleep. and it just wasn't working for me. I was also taking 12 Advil every day, especially on weekends, because weekends were my long runs, weekends were my long cycle rides, and I had severe chronic pain. I did not understand that my chronic pain came from my autoimmune disorders, and my autoimmune disorders came from very high inflammation points. Guys, they're all connected. I had never been educated on that by a doctor. I was only given medications by the doctor. I was never educated on that by my natural consultant that I was advised to go to, that helped me with my food regimen and everything else because of my autoimmune disorders, helped me with detoxing a specific way for 6 months, but nobody gave me the connections of what was happening internally. So I had this chronic, severe pain every single day, and I would take 12 Advil. Hey, sweetie, have kiddos going to work today. They're not kiddos. They're actually getting married in a week. I'm about to be a complete empty nester here, so saying goodbye to a daughter that in 1 week I won't get to say goodbye to in the mornings. So anyway, back to my story, 12 Advil a day. If you know anything about Advil, you should never take that many, but I was chancing it because I didn't want to give up my lifestyle. I didn't want to give up my training. I would get up every single morning in such severe pain. It hurt to roll over. My shoulders hurt. My hips hurt. My legs hurt. I would put my feet on the floor and just the nerves in the bottom of my feet. I would walk like an old lady getting out of bed, and it would take me, some time to get straightened up, to get my feet moving, to get my ankles just, flexible. I remember every single day, at least every week, maybe not every single day, but I'm one of those people that says the same thing over and over again. But I was just fascinated, sad, confused. And I used to tell my husband, my body feels like yesterday was my first time to ever work out. Have you ever worked out for maybe the first time, or you're starting over and over and over again? I felt like Groundhog Day, right? Where the same thing happened over and over again. And I used to say, I don't understand. And so what did I do? I'd work out harder because I was trying to work through the pain, because that's what I was trained to do as a dancer and as an athlete, is you work through the pain. And so that's what I would do, not knowing that I was killing my adrenal glands. I was moving my inflammation points higher. I was killing my body. I was breaking down my body and had no idea, because everything was connected. I was an atomic bomb waiting to explode. And 5.5 years ago, it was exploding, and I was watching it. I was watching my body break down and had not been educated on what was going on. So that's when I was introduced to Plexus. Amen. Thank goodness. I really believe that the Lord gave me the greatest gift ever. Never knew the power of these products, natural ingredients. I will tell you, when I got started, my first questions to the friend who introduced me to Plexus, she had a son that was on the autism scale. She had a heart condition that she had had surgery for. And my very first questions to her were, are they gluten-free? Do they have any dyes in them? Will they be addictive? I cannot have anything that I will be addicted to. And did your doctor approve them? Those were my questions. She said yes to everything, and I ordered immediately. And then I personally started doing the science on the ingredients. I'm not a sciencey, researchy person, but whenever I started these products, they had to be my answer. They had to be my answer because nothing else was. And you get to a place where you are begging and dying and searching for an answer for life. You just want to live. You just want to feel good. It makes me emotional to talk about it because you just want it. Because I knew that I was created to do some great things. I knew that I was created to be a great mom, and I wasn't being a great mom. I was too tired, and I was watching my kids grow up, and I was watching them leave the home, and I wasn't getting to have all of them. And I needed an answer. And so I started doing my own research. And the more that I researched about these ingredients, the more excited I got. And the more excited I got, the more committed I was. Guys, be committed to these supplements. Be consistent. It is so important to be consistent because they work synergistically together over time. And as your days go, the more you're going to see happen. For me, in the beginning, I had detox, and I didn't understand detox. No, I didn't understand why I was having detox symptoms, because I had gone through a 6-month period of detoxing my body once I was diagnosed with celiac disease. And it was a pretty hefty detox period. And so the detox, again, was a little bit confusing. I honestly was a little bit snobbish about detoxing because I'd already been eating clean for 7 years when I started Plexus. I had already detoxed my system. I was working out the way that I was working out. And so I was a little bit snobbish that I was doing all the right things, even though I wasn't feeling good. Boy, did I need to be educated. So, you know, going through those detox symptoms, I knew was good. It didn't scare me. It excited me. For a lot of people, it scares them to detox because often detoxing, you're going to detox in the areas that you have your symptoms of health issues. You have migraines, you have headaches, you might detox with some headaches for a couple of weeks. For me, chronic pain, I got a little bit more painful for about 2 weeks. Guys, I've been pain-free for 5 years. Push through it. Push through it. If you have UTIs, your detox might be, you know, UTIs. So those symptoms of that, push through it because they will go away. That's my mom's story. She had chronic UTIs, urinary tract infections. She had them at least once a quarter, 3 to 4 times a year. She hasn't had them for 5 years. So know that those detox to feel worse means that you're only going to feel better. Don't quit. Trust the system. Trust the process of what you're going through. So anyway, went through those symptoms and got to the other side. So those things are super, super important. Just real quickly, I kind of want to share where I am today. Because I know I've gone a long time. We all try to go really short, but our stories, I think every story that you've heard this week, haven't they been magnificent? I get excited all over again, and I get emotional all over again because I know these people personally. And my heart is so happy that they got their life back, that they feel good, that they're thriving. So today I am symptom-free. Today, I am only on 1 med. I used to take 7 meds just for my celiac. I'm on 1, and it's for my thyroid, and it's only 20 milligrams. That's a big, big, big deal for me. When I started with Plexus, I was on 120 milligrams for my thyroid. And whenever I would take my thyroid test, I was off the charts. You couldn't even see that I was producing anything. So, that's life for me. I was the girl that whenever I came home from work, I was calling my husband to make dinner because I was too exhausted to make it. I did not any way want to communicate with my family. I was too tired to think, never wanted to go out and play or have fun. Laughter in our family is a huge deal, but we didn't have laughter 5 years ago. And when I realized that we were laughing, that we were having fun, it makes me emotional. I remember when my daughters at that time were in college, came home. One night they said, it was about 11 o'clock at night. I was still awake. We were talking. We were communicating and we were laughing. And one of my daughters said, "Mom, what are you doing awake?" I'd gotten my life back. So today I'm thriving, symptom-free, chronic pain gone, inflammation points down, running, still do 2-a-days. This week I was in the gym for 3 hours on one specific day, thriving, loving it. I love being in the studio. I love being in the gym. I love being outside running, only in the spring and summer. I don't like cold weather, so I'm not outside in the cold. That's life for me, and that's life-giving for me. I will tell you just real quick, and then I'm going to end my story. If you have any questions, would you please ask, because I want to answer them for you. If this has been good for you, I'd love to get a heart or a thumbs up. 5 years ago, in April, so next month, I jumped out of an airplane on my 50th birthday. I felt so great. I was thriving. I got my life back. Life was incredible. And I wanted to do something magnificent. And I'll never forget, it was one of the greatest days for me of jumping out of an airplane. And I jumped out of an airplane with a dear friend who worked for me. That she was 25 years younger than me. She was turning 25, I was turning 50, and we jumped out of a plane together. Greatest day ever. Next month I'll be 55. And I continued to go, okay, what am I going to do for my 55th birthday? Because I feel 35. And so I think I'm going back to triathlons. I haven't run triathlons for the last 4 years because life got crazy. I was working nonprofit full time. I had my own nonprofit. I was thriving with my Plexus business. And so I think I'm jumping back into triathlons for my 55th year of celebrating life. I want to say just real quick about this business. I am an Emerald Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. Let me tell you what that means for me. I'm a thriving Emerald Ambassador. That means that this year I will go to Maui for my 4th time, free vacation with my husband. Beautiful time for us to be together. Super excited to be going there. I have a Lexus that is sitting outside in my driveway. It is my second Lexus to have. We get a free Lexus with this business. It's my second one. Every time I get one, it's the coolest thing because I walk into the dealership, they hand me a key and I walk out. It's super easy to be able to do that. I still, every time I get in the car, can't believe that I'm driving a free, beautiful Lexus. It also means that I have a 6-digit income. I have a full-time income that I am doing part-time. And part-time for me, I have a thriving business. I have a large team. It might be a couple of hours a day. It could be 5 hours a day, but it's not more than 20. And I have full-time. So I come from corporate America. I was in executive management with corporate America, moved into nonprofit, and now I work full-time in this health and wellness business as well as in my nonprofit. I am making the income that I made as a contractor. When I contracted for 4 years, which means I contracted out my services for corporations, that was the highest income I ever made personally. I make more than that today. Doing this business. So wanted to share that with you. And let me just share with you how I got to where I am today. I started sharing what my story was with my family, with my friends, what my hope was with these ingredients, because 5.5 years ago, I was just getting started. But I started sharing immediately because I knew what was ahead of me and I had hope that this would change my life, and it did. So I started sharing immediately as soon as I started the products, and my sharing, my belief, my sharing my friends' stories, as well as the hope of my story, got me to where I am today. The freedom that I have financially, the freedom that I have with my time, the joy that I have of making family memories. I am doing what I'm doing today because 5.5 years ago, I started sharing immediately. And this is the deal, and this is why I started sharing. Because my friend was sharing and she was thriving in this business. And all I thought is, if she can do it, I can do it. And I became very, very passionate about my story because I knew that someone else needed to hear my story because they needed hope. So guys, get started on the products. Ask any questions. We are here to answer them for you. I hope you've had a fantastic week. And get started. Be consistent. Share your story. It's exciting. I hope that you will thrive. You guys have a great night. Talk to you soon.